Hey everyone, today I'm going to be taking you through my LinkedIn Everything system. Now, obviously, this has gone through quite a few iterations. I've done a lot of testing with it. I do currently have myself and 5 clients running on it, and everything seems to be going well. It pretty much has a number of webhooks which automate everything through Unipile, and then it also has NAN running some automations which keeps things running smoothly. Other than that, everything is just what you put into it. And so what I'm going to be doing today is taking you through how you can get yourself set up on this system. I'm looking for 5 people to test it with me this month to see how they use it, what comes up, if it works in the way that it's expected, if there's anything that's not running as expected, so that I can improve it, test for bugs, and then see what else is going on, as I would like to provide this for people. My goal is pretty much to remove limitations on LinkedIn automation tools, because pretty much every single one has them and they are quite restrictive, be it Duck Soup or Phantom Buster or Tripify. They all have their limitations on what you can do, which, based on how I've built this, doesn't really make any sense. The running costs for this are incredibly low based on the 5 or so clients that I have running right now, and all the campaigns. There's so many campaigns running across it on all the different databases. This is just my one, of course. So there obviously can be even more done. Right now, the connections and messages today is obviously at 0, because everything that happens on the system is towards the back end of the day for me, because I'm targeting people in Europe and in America. So this all happens actually when I'm pretty much away from my computer / asleep. Anyway, let's get into it. So what the system have is, obviously, you've got a nice dashboard which gives you the overview of what's been going on in terms of recent activity, conversions, pipeline, hot leads, just the standard health, let's say. You've then got a leads database. So if you don't want to import them manually by like copy and pasting, whatever method you've got, if you haven't got a lead list, you can just find them in here. You got it via Sales Navigator, you can do it via companies, you can do it via people. It has pretty much every option that is available via the different methods. If there are any missing, that's pretty much why I'm doing this here, so I can understand how else people would like to use it. You then, of course, and if you do a search, let's say I've got one already preloaded here, you can then automatically select, obviously, just one of them. You can just connect with them directly here if you wish. You can select all of them. You can add them to a list. So they go into a list. You can connect to them. It will, if you connect with all 20 at once, it will spread them out. So it won't obviously do them all in one go, because that would be terrible for your account, but it would do them, let's say, every minute, for example. You can add them to a campaign. If you've got campaigns set up, you can click add to campaign, and then you can select the campaign that you'd like them added to, and then they would get enrolled. Really easy. We then, of course, have a list. So this is where your lists go. These actually do automatically made as well, depending on if you have one already. If not, it will automatically make them for the list before any search is done for you, which you can then click into, and you can then see the people that are being captured within these lists. So really straightforward, and obviously they can be removed, added to campaign. Everything else is in here. You can, of course, import as well, and you only actually need the URL of the LinkedIn profiles. So if you get a big list of URLs, whatever method you choose, you can just then import them into this system. I do currently have it set to a maximum of 500. That can be, to be honest, increased now as I've upgraded the Vercel plan. So there isn't a restriction on how many profiles can be added. Just do 500, and then you can add another 500. That should last you a decent amount of time anyway. And obviously, you can import them. If you don't select a list, it will just add them to a list for you. It will create a list for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can obviously add them to a list that you have already, which you may wish to do. We've then obviously got the invitations, so the ones that you've received and the ones that you've sent. And the reason I've done this is because ultimately, I want this to be a system which allows you to take all the benefits that LinkedIn has without all the distractions, which is essentially the social media aspect of it. Obviously, there is some important aspect to going on LinkedIn and looking at some of the social media things that are happening there, making sure you're staying relevant. But that, I would say, is a maximum activity of 20 minutes a day, maybe 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon at most. You don't want to be catching yourself scrolling through any social media platform for an extended period of time beyond that, as it loses the strategic importance or benefits. Of course, then we've got messages as well. Now, the messages in here are, let's say, quite more tailored than what you have on LinkedIn. It only shows the messages here of the people that you put into the campaigns. So it's not going to show every single message here, which I think is an important distinction to make, because ultimately you may be sending out hundreds and hundreds of messages a day potentially. You may also be receiving the hundreds of messages per day, depending on your account. I obviously get loads as well. It can be quite annoying. It can mean that you miss some. So here, it's just bringing up the ones that have connected to every single person that connects with me. They go into here. So really straightforward. Obviously, it tells me when they connected as well, which is nice, but that's it. But then, of course, got the hot leads. So these are people who have connected and then also sent me a reply. I've got the ones that I've contacted. So these are the ones that I've contacted. I've then got the ones that are new. And obviously, you then can go into the view conversation and you can see that further. So actually, if you just click onto this, it'll then load up that lead itself inside this database. And then you can actually send messages from here. So you can see here, this guy, he's just sent a very straightforward message to me. So actually, I could then add him back to the workflow, or I could just send him a more personalized message. So people who actually do reply directly, this is, I would say, a good indication to go onto their profile and actually check what's happening in their business, look at their website, look at everything else, and then send them something that's a little bit more tailored. And this increases the chances of you potentially having that conversation with them rather than sending them another automated message. And obviously, yeah, you can see that activity here. You can add some notes, you can save notes should you wish. You can add tags, you can add them to a list. Essentially, you've got a full CRM system for LinkedIn here. And obviously, yeah, we can just go back to leads there if we wish, or we can go back to the hot leads here as well. So these will always be stored here, so you're never going to lose them. You're never going to worry. You can obviously dismiss them, contact them, add them again. You can put them back should you wish, but they'll always be here, which I think is the most important part of the system, because ultimately people just get lost if you don't have them here. Then we have campaigns. And campaigns can run in quite a number of manners, but I'll show you one here that I've got set up. And you have here, obviously, the total, the number of queued ones, the ones that are active, completed, replied, ones that are waiting. You can see where people are at. So basically, I've got this set to do 15 per day. I've got it set to, so far, it's got 140 which are waiting on this message, 10 that are message. If they haven't connected, it'll just put them through to waiting. So you can see here that these are the ones that are waiting to be connected. So they won't go anywhere. They just sit there until the webhook notifies that they have connected with your account. And then it will put them back into the sequence. And yeah, you can see that you can put as many steps as you want. It's got all the stages down here in terms of pending, active, completed, replied, failed, waiting. You can see the executions in terms of what was done, what was skipped, when it was activated. So you can see there's obviously time between each of these that are happening. So done as randomly as possible. And if it's skipped, it just does it straight away because it knows that it doesn't need to wait. And if we go to, let's say if we load up the test campaign, I can then show you what it can do. So here you can obviously view the profile, send a connection request, send a message, send an email, view profile, like a post, and do an AI comment on a post with your own persona. So if you select that, it will then allow you to select your persona, which I'll show you how to build shortly. And further to this, I will be bringing in an update probably soon in the coming weeks, whereby I'll be enabling voice messaging as well, where the only thing that will be changed in the voice notes will be just the name itself. Everything else in the voice note will be used, so you only have to do it once, which would be obviously incredibly convenient. Probably won't be long until we can do that with video as well, which should be pretty fun and pretty interesting, but that'll take a bit longer before it's cost effective and not going to require multiple iterations and obviously your approvals. We then, of course, have comments. So The comments aspect is basically your approval. Now, you could set it up. I could allow an option here where it does auto approve, for example, when I'm thinking of getting this made. But I do believe at the start, especially when you're understanding what type of comments it makes, how it's doing it, you can see here I've got quite a few that I have approved, and then I've also got a load that I've rejected as well, simply because I just don't think it's a post that needs to have a comment. You just have a small blurb here. You don't see the full post, and personally, I don't really need to see the full post to be able to understand if I can make a comment on this, but maybe you will want that. This is something that I could obviously add. It wouldn't take much. I just needed a see more button, for example. But to keep it simple, I've just allowed it like this, and then you just click approve and post, and it'll do it. Simple as that, really. It'll just basically connect to the webhook, and then it'll post that comment for you. So really easy. And obviously, yeah, approved, rejected. I probably will have to work out something else to filter these through, because you don't really need to have these building up endlessly. It's pointless. Maybe I have a 30-day cache on those when they disappear after that certain amount of time. And you can see here, for example, this is just like an apply now thing. So I'd obviously just reject that. So this allows you to choose which posts are commented on, which not. Otherwise, they always just get, if you have put in the campaigns that you want to have a like on their posts, which I think is always fine. Then we have the analytics. And the analytics, very similar to the dashboard. It just has a little bit more details in terms of how many have been sent, how many have been accepted, what's the percentage, what's the reply rate, all the other little details that maybe you'll want to know. You can obviously set up as many campaigns as you want. I've just got 2 on this profile at the moment, which is mine. But if you wanted to, and I also have other campaigns running through NAN right now on the other system that I set up, the LinkedIn Everything system, but I will be probably moving everything over to this system soon, I think in the coming week, because it seems to be running fine and I don't see any reason to have it running in Airtable anymore. So yeah, very nice, easy breakdown for you, so you can just quickly track what's going on. After this, we have, let's say, probably the best part, and this came in actually, let's say, version 2 of the system, and I would say it's probably the most exciting part of the system. For me anyway, because it just allows it to be fully automated. You don't need to do anything. You actually could go, you don't need to have leads, you don't need to have the lists, you don't need to import. You can just go, once you've done the settings, which I'll show at the end, you then just need to do the ICP. And so here, if I just click on to, let's say, create a new profile, you can obviously set the name, you can target the titles, the industry. Basically, these are all the details that LinkedIn obviously does against, and this is creating an ICP that matches their search engine, so that you can really go, okay, these are the people that I want. What are the keywords that you want to have within their profile, anything else? And then obviously this gives you, you can allow to have a score. And the reason this is important that you may want to use the keywords, locations, and everything else is that it's going to use AI to then filter through the searches to then see if they match your ICP. So if I just click cancel on this now, you can see here I've got edit scoring criteria, so then I can choose the titles. You just need to choose a comma between titles, and it will then allow for individual ones. This one's for staffing and recruiting, owner, CEOs, locations. I haven't got any keywords on this because I don't want to. I'm not doing such a specific search on this one, but you can if you wish. And then of course I've got the searches going on here. So here I've got 2 different searches, one that has been completed now, and then one that is still running. So I'd probably set up another one for that one. And then of course I've got another one down here, which is just on UK owners, and this one's still running as well. Now, what it does is when it runs a search, it checks against your scoring criteria. And then if I go into AI Discovery, it will automatically put them into here. And obviously I can break it down by the ICP. So it'll filter out the people here, if they fit within it, what the score is, if they are worthy, if they are worthy of being messaged by me. No, more if they fit the type of person that you want to be contacting. So as straightforward as that, pretty much. This obviously has limits pre-built into it, which you can change. So here I've got it just set to 15. So it's only going to find for me 15 per day, and that's it. It's not going to do any more than that. if I wanted to add more, I could just click on this number and I just change it. If I change it to 10, it will change it to 10. If I put it back to 15, it will put it back to 15. It auto saves it. So you can toggle this on and off. If you turn that off, it will remove them all. If I turn that back on, it will add them back in again. And then obviously I've got to toggle these all back on, and then it's back on again, obviously. And here I can choose the campaign that I want it to go to. So it's auto rolling into the campaign. You can, of course, analyze this as well. So you can click on analyze and it will give you use their AI to analyze your ICP and see if it fits you. One thing I could add into here, which I haven't added yet, is of course adding your own brand into this, or your own. So then the AI understands what type of company you are, and then it's okay, this is the ICP that would actually suit you. Right now, it's just going based upon what you put into here and obviously what confidence it has. Interesting that it's done this. Look at that's fun. So it actually gives you some analysis as well. That's great. And yeah, so very straightforward. I've got it set to run here. You can run it however often you want. Once every hour is probably enough, and it will do everything. And as I said, it will cap once you've hit the amount that you want to do. And you can have as many of these running as you want. Obviously, do keep it within the limitations of your account. Make sure that you're not doing too much. Make sure that you're not over stretching your account, and keep it within the limitations that you are allowed. There is actually in here, I've just gone back to the campaigns. We do have, let's just go back to campaigns and click new campaign. We have a warm-up campaign. So you got a warm-up campaign and it will start at 5, and then you can let's say you daily increment it to 1, and then you want to get it to max like 15, then it will do that. And it will start at 5, and then every day it'll go 6, 7, 8, 9. And you may even make it slower, like you may keep the limit even lower than that. You may keep it to 10 per day. There are probably this could be improved. I personally haven't used the warm-up much because every account I'm working with is relatively active, of course. However, if a new account is to use this, I probably would lower this down to a weekly increase so that it would increase weekly by 1, for example, and start at 5, and then the next week it would do 6, and the next week 7, and you get it over. And then after a month, it would increase to 10 to 15. So that's one improvement that could happen there. Anyway, so that's ICP profiles. This is automating everything for you. Pretty much you don't need to do any searches. It's just getting you leads for you every single day. It's checking them against your scorecard. It's checking them against what you're providing it, and therefore hopefully giving you better quality leads. Then of course we have, then we've got the profiles and the setting. The profile is just your profile. It's as simple as that, really. There's nothing else in here that you will need, for example. We've then got the settings. So the settings is where you connect your LinkedIn account. So it requires your LinkedIn profile and your LinkedIn cookie session. And that will allow me to connect you to the Unipile, which is obviously what this is running on. So it's using Unipile in the back end. And then you can select your AI of choice, OpenRouter, OpenAI, custom. You can pick whatever it is. You choose the model. It's got all the models. It'll, depending on whatever you load, it'll change it towards that. And yeah, pretty user friendly. And then obviously you enter your AI key. So then the more you're using, the more money you'll use. But this is obviously, it's just your own usage, which will hopefully allow me to keep the cost of the tool relatively low for people, because you can just connect your own AI to it. And then of course we have the AI personas. So this is your standard AI persona, how you want it to behave. This is obviously just for comments in here so far. You can add as many as you want. I've only got 1 in here for now, but if you wanted to have, let's say the way you wanted to communicate to people was different in different countries. Maybe you have German clients and you want to have a German ICP for them, and then maybe you have American and English clients and you want to have an English ICP for them. I can imagine multi-languages, or maybe you have different people you're going after. So you have, let's say, managers that you're inviting towards your webinar, so there's more educational kind of persona, and then perhaps you have CEOs which you want to get on a phone call for talks and events and so on, or like whatever, event managers, and so perhaps you have an ICP for them, or sorry, an AI persona for them. So yeah, simple as that. And I'll probably be adding into the settings the 11 labs as well for the voice note generation. So that is the LinkedIn Everything system. As mentioned, I'm looking for 5 people to test it out with me over the coming month. I've yet to find any errors so far. The one thing which could potentially happen is the warm-up aspect, but we'll see if people use that. As mentioned, there are no limitations on this. I don't believe in doing so because as I mentioned, the cost of running this is incredibly low. So I would only feel that the cost should come just from managing the system itself, making sure that it's running, obviously checking for any bugs and anything else that comes up. But otherwise, I want the restrictions and limitations to be imposed by, well, yourself and what LinkedIn account level you have. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Looking forward to hearing more from you. Otherwise, yeah, have a wonderful time. And if you want to learn how to build the system itself, honestly, just look up how to build an app with Claude code. Look up the MCPs that you're going to need. In this case, it's Unipile, NAN, Get Shit Done, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously now 11 Labs is going to be in there as well. You look up a tool, you look up a software program, you search if there's an MCP, you get it added. You then get Claude code to plan it all out. You probably need Opus. You then need a lot of time. I spend probably about 6 hours a day, every single day for about, I guess, like almost a month now. And that's what's allowed to get to this state. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a great time and looking forward to hearing from you.